Hi everybody, this is Matt and Janine here, and today we're going to bring you up to speed with our review for June and July.
So, first of all, we have some general announcements to make. First of all, I wanted to thank everybody who came to see my play with the Portland Fringe Festival, A Tincture of Time, and also thank my art teacher, Amelia, for this opportunity. I had a great time, and next year I'm hoping to write my own play for the Fringe Festival, which is the next writing project that I will be working on. And also, just as a reminder, I'm going to be on the radio for my 40th birthday show on August 10th with WMPG, and me and Kathleen will be doing the next episode for the From Manhattan to Stars Hollow TBR podcast with a special little mini feature at the beginning for disability rights activism. So stay tuned. August 10th, from 5 o'clock to 6:30 on WMPG. And if you do not live in Maine, you can tune in online.
So I hope that's enough said. With that, now let's get on with our interview entertainment here. But for a sad note, I'd like to pass on to you is Susan Ellen Sommers, my aunt and my godmother, passed away unexpectedly on June 22nd. She had some problems with her lungs and was hospitalized. But the other day, I was with my family for the service and for a nice lunch party outdoors with my cousin Teresa. So, thoughts out to her and our whole family.
We would like to thank everybody who has sent along condolences um, for Matt's aunt's death. We really appreciate your support in this difficult time. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about today is TV show review. Always Jane. Always Jane is an Amazon Prime documentary series that we just started watching at the beginning of June. It's a 4 episode series, so we're going to finish the rest of it off in September once the summer winds down. Um, so for the first episode, basically, we thought it was a very good introduction to Jane, her family, and her friends. And this is about a teenage girl who comes out as transgender and her experience with getting gender reassignment surgery. We're really enjoying it, and we're looking forward to watching the rest of the episodes.
Yes, we are. And always Jane really describes this girl who's going through some tough times with her transgender, especially during high school. So we understand that can be a cause for concern, but even if you're transgender, you have nothing to worry about.
The next TV show that we wanted to talk about is give our first impressions on Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip.
Mm-hmm.
This was one of the first TV shows that Matthew Perry was in after he finished Friends. And so, if you guys are a fan of shows like The Office or Abbott Elementary or Parks and Recreation, this show is a similar type of show to that, only instead of being a backstage instead of being a day-to-day show about working in an office or working at a Parks and Rec center or working at a school, this show with Matthew Perry and Amanda Peet um, is the backstage going on at a show that is similar to Saturday Night Live. So fans of Saturday Night Live will really enjoy this show. Um,
Sorry about that, guys. We were a little bit dim, and I had to make a little adjustment so we can see each other better now.
um, so Matthew Perry's character in this show is named Matt, and in the scene when he's out to dinner with his coworkers, he talks about how on a lot of painkillers because he's recovering from surgery. And that's another example of art imitating life, because during this time that this show was being filmed, Matthew Perry was also on a lot of various drugs for various reasons, as he mentioned in his book.
So my first impression was the very first pilot episode where someone hijacked the stage and during a live audience study, and nobody is ever allowed to do that while the show is filming in session, especially when it's taped live, because that can cause a lot of concern. And also, Matthew Perry, I thought, did a good job for his role. And this is the very first time I can remember seeing anything with Amanda Peet.
I've never seen anything with Amanda Peet either. Um, so a recent episode we watched at Studio 60 on Sunset Strip, they're in a staff meeting to plan the next episode of the show. And one thing I hated about that episode was how one of the main showrunners of the show, not Matthew Perry's character, but another guy, he was saying really rude, derogatory things about people with disabilities, and they can be very offensive. So I did not enjoy his character. He was very rude.
Yeah, that's it's very insulting for anyone to make fun of, especially us disability people.
Okay, so the next thing we're going to review is the production of Fun Home that we saw at Portland Players on June 22nd. Um, this This musical is based on the graphic novel by Alison Bechtel about how she came out as gay to her family, and her father also comes out as gay, and he has a rougher time with it because it impacts his marriage. Who were your favorite characters?
Some of my favorite characters in this play included Allison, played by Rebecca Rondi, and the grown-up Allison, by the way. Plus, I also liked the medium and small Allison. I also enjoyed Bruce and Helen Bechtel. So you could see why she was having some difficulty during her LGBTQ in this play.
My favorite characters were Allison, medium Allison, and small Allison, who were played by Rebecca Rinaldi, Isabel Gringon, and CJ Sunshine Mouty. Christian Bechtel, who was played by Nathaniel Cummings, who we also saw last summer in Mary Poppins as Michael Banks. Roy, Pete, Mark, and Bobby, ensemble characters, played by Samson Spatafore, who is my co-worker from Maine Humanities Council, and John Bechtel, who is the older brother of Allison, who is played by Clementine Enright. The next thing, our favorite songs in Fun Home are Welcome to the Fun Home, Come to the Fun Home, Party Dress, Raincoat of Love, and Ring of Keys. The next movie we're going to review today is Black Panther, which came out in 2017. It is a Marvel superhero movie, and the main character was played by the late what was his name again?
Oh well, but anyway, the reason why we like Black Panther was because the setting of the film, which was in Africa. Plus, we learned about their culture
And the development of their culture was so interesting. It was my favorite part of the whole movie. Chadwick Boseman he was the main lead character, and he died a couple of years ago from prostate cancer, which was very sad. He is greatly missed by everybody.
And then when we were with our friend Sonia Walcott a couple weeks ago, we took her to the movie for her birthday, and we ended up seeing How to Train Your Dragon live action. We were supposed to see Lilo and Stitch, but they were sold out.
And we all loved the live action version of How to Train Your Dragon. Everything about that movie was good. We highly recommend it. It exceeded all of our expectations. We have seen the animated versions, but I think in this situation, the live action is just as good as the animated version. But the thing that stood out to me most about the live action version was the fight choreography and the music.
Yes, and also in this movie, in addition to the fight scenes, this is an example of how one, when he gets involved with the Black Dragon, who was named, what was his name again? I think it was Toothless. Hiccup and Toothless really become a good pair.
They
And
do.
it takes his father and all the rest of his army to really kind of understand what kind of creature he makes a nice friend to, because they're supposed to be killing dragons in their kingdom.
Right. The next TV episode that we wanted to talk about was a episode of Kim Possible that we watched at the end of May for Disability Pride Month. Um, a, a month and a half early. It's called Motor Ed, and it features a disabled character in a wheelchair.
His name
And
is Felix.
Kim Possible, who is voiced by Christy Carlson Romano from Even Stevens, is a little bit ableist towards him at first because she doesn't really see how they can help him solve the crime, but he ends up helping them out in some of the best ways that we can think of. And we also liked him a lot because he was a very positive character and he was a great representation for disabled characters where at that time period they were not really seen very well in the media.
And there's another episode at the beginning of season 3 of this show where Motor Ed comes back to haunt Kim again, and we may see Felix. So we're going to be watching that this next upcoming week.
Right. The next TV show we wanted to talk about is The Odd Couple with Matthew Perry and Thomas Lennon. This was reviewed in Remember When's recent video where they talked about the top five worst spin-offs. So The Odd Couple with Matthew Perry is a spin-off of the 1965 TV show that's based on a play by Neil Simon, which we haven't watched. And there was also a remake with the character who played the son in Sanford and Son, playing Felix, and we haven't seen that either. But in regards to this version of The Odd Couple, so we have seen the stage version of The Odd Couple a couple of times, once with the original version and once with the female version. I think one time we saw it at Community Players of Concord, and the other time might have been at either Actor Singers or Mulford Area Players. But in regards to this TV version of The Odd Couple, Matthew Perry's character, Oscar Madison, is probably one of the characters I can relate to the most, but he's a writer. Um, Felix is like a male version of Monica Geller because he is neurotic about keeping everything clean. But to me, I can tolerate Monica's OCD, but he goes a little bit Felix goes a little bit too over the top for me, and I don't know if you can agree, but I think Felix is sort of annoying.
I think he is.
Um, what do you think of The Odd Couple? Is it a good reboot of the original
Well, Matthew
play?
Perry does bring his character to life, but the original Odd Couple's better.
The video that Remember When posted said that they felt the comedy in this version of The Odd Couple with Matthew Perry and Thomas Lennon fell flat. Did you agree, or do you think
I
they're
think
funny?
so.
What makes you think that they're not funny?
Well, Matthew Perry, in his own way, is a funny character, but I knew very little of Thomas Lennon and how he could develop into more or less the character that he was meant to be on The Odd Couple.
I've never seen anything with him in it either besides this. Um, so if you have not watched Remember When's video about top 5 worst remakes of TV shows, we will leave the link in the description below. The next TV show episode we wanted to discuss today is Clueless, One for the Road, and Growing Pains Second Chance. This is part of our Serious Issues in the Media series, and um, this episode, the both of these episodes talk about drunk driving. We have reviewed the Growing Pains episode in a previous episode where we have talked about serious issues in the media. That was the episode of Growing Pains that Matthew Perry guest starred on, where he plays Carol Seaver's college boyfriend Sandy. So both of these episodes focus on drunk driving. In the Clueless episode, it's Cher's 18th birthday, and her dad gets her an NSYNC concert in the backyard, which was nostalgic for me because I went to see NSYNC at Foxborough Stadium for my birthday when I turned 16 with my 3 friends, Leslie, Nicole, and Sonia. And that was one of my favorite memories that I had of high school. Um, so this goes along. There's drinking, there's underage drinking at this party because in Clueless, Cher and her friends are in high school and they're under 21, where as opposed to Growing Pains, Sandy is in college and Carol is still in high school. She's a senior, I think. But it's basically the same plot with a drunk driving accident happening and the love interest of Cher. What was his name? Adam.
I think Adam, yeah.
Yeah, he's the one who dies in a car accident, and the scene is just as emotional with Kirk Cameron telling Tracy Gold that Matthew Perry died as the guy who played Cher's dad in the TV show of Clueless telling Cher that Adam died. I cried. And the thing that is more hard hitting about this episode is that so at the end of the episode of Growing Pains, they just list the statistic about drunk driving. But since Clueless was a show made for teenagers, the actors of the TV show actually did a PSA at the end of the episode about how unsafe it is to drink and drive, and I think that hits home more than just posting a statistic on the screen. So if I had actually watched this show when it was on in 1996, it was on for 3 seasons from 1996 to 1998, and if I had watched this when it was originally aired, I feel like that would have hit home for me more as a teenager than it does now. Not that I drink or that I drank back then anyway. I was not a huge partier either. Um,
Those are back in our days when both of us were in high school, actually. And I was around midway through my high school tenure when I heard about a drunk driving accident that happened after a Super Bowl party. So I understand what they're all like.
okay, now I'm gonna do a little bit of a reading progress update for my TBR for Gabby's Summerween Readathon. I started this a little bit earlier than I was supposed to because I spotted the first book I had on my TBR on the library at the midpoint of June, right before my play, and I read it right away. That was The Last Word by Taylor Adams, which I gave 4.5 stars to. For the Night Sky prompt, I read The Guest List by Lucy Foley, which I forgot to bring out here, but that was a 5-star reread. The next book I'm reading is a book that you have owned for more than a year, and that's Lungfish by Megan Gillis. I am currently in my reread on page 159. And then for other thrillers that I'm currently reading, I am reading Vera Wong's Guide to Snooping on a Dead Man, which is a sequel to Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers. Jesse Q. Shutanto has also written the Aunties series, which is Dial A for Aunties, Four Aunties in a Wedding, and The Good, the Bad, and the Aunties, and also another book I've read by her that I have liked is called You Will Never Be Me. She writes really good thrillers and mysteries if you're looking for a good thriller and mystery author to read. Currently, in this book, I just started it this morning when I got home from the library. I am on page 64. And then the next book I'm reading for my thriller and mystery TBR is We Solve Murders. This is the second book in the series with the Thursday Murder Club. And basically, this is like if the Golden Girls were solving murders, because it's set in a nursing home, and this group of senior citizens are solving murders in their nursing home. And currently in this book, I am on chapter 45, page 184.
And we also have some DVDs that we would like to mention to you that we brought out.
Okay, so recently we have been doing some shopping at Bull Moose, which is our used book and CD store, and I have bought a few books that I have hauled in other videos. The first movie that we are going to be watching to review for a future video is called Ferris Bueller's Day Off. This was a popular teen movie in the 1980s. It was made by the same director who made The Breakfast Club and 16 Candles, and it stars Matthew Broderick, and it's about it's basically about a kid in high school who like ditches school for the day and goes on this crazy wild adventure. It's really funny. Other people who I have seen review talk about this in the video that Remember When posted about the TV show says the movie is a bad movie and the TV show is just as bad. The TV show was on Fox in 1990, and it starred Jennifer Aniston before she was on Friends. So we're going to be reviewing the pilot episode of the Ferris Bueller TV show later in the fall, and comparing it to the movie. I don't think it's going to compare to the movie. The next movie we got was Lost in Space. When did this come out?
I think Lost in Space came out in the late 1990s, and this one has Matthew LeBlanc on it.
So this movie stars Matt LeBlanc from Friends, Lacey Chabert from Mean Girls, and who else? Any other actors that we know? Gary Oldman, William Hurt, Heather Graham. So yeah, we're looking forward to watching this. We will be watching this on August 15th and reviewing it in our August wrap-up video at the beginning of September.
And the last DVD we have right here is
second to last.
Second to last is Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and this is where Pee Wee Herman, played by the late Paul Reubens, met with Tim Burton in 1985 and created this funny, hilarious adventure. So
I remember the TV show a little bit. I didn't watch it very often, but I do remember bits and pieces of it. So I'm really excited to see the movie. And Morgan Fairchild from Friends, who plays Chandler's mother, Nora, is in this movie and also in this show that we bought, Falcon Crest, where she plays the villain. So I'm excited to compare her characters in this show, this movie, and in Friends to see which character we like the best out of Nora Bing, or whatever she's in this movie, or whatever she is in Falcon Crest.
Now, Pee-wee's Playhouse, when it was on CBS in the early mornings on Saturdays, ran for about 46 episodes, including the 1988 Christmas special. And the word right here, like we point out, was adventure. So anytime you'd watch the show, you'd get the word of the day from Pee-wee's robot Conky. And if you'd say the secret word, you'd scream real loud. But that was just a combination of learning for kids and some comedy stretching from Pee Wee Herman himself, which he brought with him to Saturday morning. So now that Paul Rubens is dead, and so is some more of his cohorts, it's fun to look back.
Who else from Pee Wee's Big Adventure died?
Well, not really the adventure, but I'm talking about the show.
Who else from the show died?
Lynn Stewart, who played Miss Yvonne.
Mm-hmm.
And now you can talk about Falcon Crest, Gene.
Okay, sure. I will share what Falcon Crest is about. So this show came out in. This show was on in the 1980s. Um, it stars Morgan Fairchild from Friends. Um, a toast to greed, to lust, to deception, and make sure your glass is filled with elegant Falcon Crest Pinot Noir. Here is a complete 6-disc, 22-episode season 2 of Falcon Crest, the long-running saga of the fortunes and misfortunes of a great California wine dynasty headed by the ruthless matriarch Angela Channing, Jane Wyman. This season, murder takes center stage after someone offs Carlo Agretti. A tantalizing trail of clues to the killer's identity weaves through an emotional minefield of adultery, divorce, weddings, death threats, paternal disputes, and battles over control of the wine empire. Who done it? The truth is in the season's final episode as the killer is revealed and kills again. So I'm so excited to see what Morgan Fairchild's character is like in this show. It seems to me, based on what Remember When said in their video, that she's the villain, so that should be a lot of fun. And I can't wait to watch this show, which we're going to probably watch in the fall, because I mean, this is a murder mystery, so if we can fit this into the Halloween schedule, that would be good, but if we can't, we can always watch it in the winter.
So I hope you all are enjoying summer in July, and we're going to be back with more entertainment for you later on in August. So
Our next video will be out on August 10th, but in the meantime, listen to my radio show, also on August 10th, and I have a few videos coming out on my channel in the next couple of days, so that way you have material to watch in the meantime before our next review wrap up. So stay tuned, there's more to come. Have a great rest of your July in the meantime.
safe travel too.